Hey everyone, going to run you through the Korg Volca Sample today. It's a great little sample device, can hold up to 100 different samples, total maximum memory of a minute of audio or 4 megabits, whatever you run into first. Sounds small, but it's actually quite a powerful little machine, even with that small sample size it can only do. So we'll turn it on button up here. Right now it's running on 6 AA's, but you can also buy a separate adapter to plug it into AC, MIDI in, no MIDI out, and these syncs are to hook it up to other devices, most noticeably other Volcas. They're all compatible, so you can sync them in and out together and they will hold the same tempo. And this is just a headphone jack out, which I got connected to my mixer right now. Alright, first thing I'd like to get into is just basically, okay, I got the preset samples on right now, and right down here you can see from sample 1 to 10, you can have 10 samples on the fly at any time, and they are all triggered by the little ribbon keyboard down here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Alright. And when you're on a sample, you can either select what sample you want to be working with by just touching it down here, which plays the sound. If you want to cycle between the samples without playing the sound, there's the part left and part right button up here. So you can see the light will cycle between what sample I have selected as I use these buttons. It's a way to change between samples on the fly and modify them without actually having to play the sample sound. It's pretty cool. Alright, so I just loaded a different part because they'll have different sample sounds. I'll get into how to do that later. But you can see, depending on what part you're in, you can have 10 different samples on the fly. But let's say you want to start a loop from scratch. First thing you want to do is select your sample 1, and then up here, this dial right here, this whole section lets you change the sound, but most noticeably this dial will let you change between the various samples on the machine. So right now it looks like I'm in sample 0. But you know, I can cycle up the samples just like this. You know, sample 10 there, sample 16, sample 29, and so on, all the way up to 100. I got the default sounds loaded on right now, so there are, I think, up to 100 sounds in here right now. So let's say, pick something weird here. Okay, that's interesting, but we'll play with that. So the first thing up here, if you want to start making something usable out of this, is the start point. So maybe you want to just get rid of that baby part of this long baby. So right now it starts to 0, so it means it's starting right at the beginning of the sound. I can go up all the way to 127. So if I put it around 60, it'll be right in the middle. Oh, okay, that's interesting. I think it's... So what also happens is as soon as you adjust any of these dials, it's going to reflect how all the other ones are currently set. So if you don't touch any of the dials and you set the sample up, it's just going to play at a regular sound. But as soon as you start fiddling around with it, you got to make sure that all these are set back to normal. Otherwise, it gets all warped and fast like it just did there. So I'm just resetting all these to back where the regular kind of default should be. And okay. So then you can see now that I've set it correctly. Should have done that before I started. Sorry about that. So the whole baby, and then if I put it around 60, you get just the end. So, you know, now reverse, I can set that back to be the whole sound again. And now I'll set the length here to be, you know, half, and then we should only get the baby part of the baby. You know, it cuts off a little weird, but, you know, you can see how you can kind of play with the length of the sound like that. So I'm going to set it back to normal again. Now there's the high cut. Now what this is going to do is just going to take, you know, a way to tone it down a bit. So you can see, and the nice thing is you can change this on the fly while the sound plays to kind of, so if you don't want so offensive right in your face like this, you can kind of turn it down so it's a bit in the background. Or really subtle. Alright, now that we've covered the length controls up here and the high cut, we're going to look at this second row of sound options, the pitch row. And the two main dials on this row are the speed dial and the EGN dial. And the speed is pretty self-explanatory. Just controls the speed of the sound. You can slow it down or speed it up. So you get the chipmunk sound going. And EGN lets you pitch it. So you can pitch the sound up a little bit like this. and you can pitch it up, which is cool because you can make a whole bunch of the samples, your part samples, the same sample, but you can pitch them all differently and start to get a little bit of a melody keyboard effect to it. Anyways, the attack and decay are basically apply how fast the pitch is applied to the sample sound and how fast the pitch changes on the end part of it. So I don't find them too effective, but they're there. You can play with them on your own, and some samples they work better with. And in this case, I don't really know much of can't tell much of a difference when I use them personally. Maybe I need to play around a bit more of it first, but I haven't found them terribly useful yet. And on the final row, we have the amp. So this basically lets you control. Level is pretty self-explanatory. It's just the volume of it. So if you turn all the way off, get nothing. You know, middle, cut the sound in half, or the full sound of the sample. Max volume. Pan, you can pan it to the left. Or pan it to the right. I think I have my left and right hookups into my mixer the wrong. That's why you hear when I pan all the way to the left, I actually hear it in my right ear. And when I pan it all the way to the right, I hear it to the left. So that's on me for not hooking up my mixer properly. Anyways, but with the sampler, it's kind of cool. Not many of the Volcas have stereo outputs, but the sample thrives on it when you can switch that on the fly to do some fun effects. And then the attack on this one is similar to above. Let's see. See, it's much more noticeable on this row, and it's the same idea with the pitch row. It's just if you crank the attack up, it's going to take a long time for it to build to the full volume. Whereas if you have it at 0, it's right there. And then the decay, if it's maxed out, you see how it just drops dead? Now if I crank that down to 0, it should get nothing. Oh, whoops. See? Now it's a little bit too effective. It's cutting it off way too fast. So this is your friend too, because if you're trying to make a loop, right, and you have a hard cut off, it's going to sound terrible. So you can use the decay to just get enough of your sound and have it kind of fade out just enough where it's not going to clip as you try to build your loop up. So that covers basically all the sound modification you can do to a specific sample. Okay, so now we're going to look at how to create a loop. And where we're going to start is all the way you can start to record a loop. So we're going to go ahead and start the loop playing now. And the easiest way to actually record is just hit this record button here. And what that's going to do is it's going to record anything you push down here when you play a sample. So if we want to start recording a kick, and then we can turn this off if we want to hear what the next sample is going to be. It's kind of a snap clap there. So it's that simple to use just the manual record there. Turn it on, play the loop, hit record, and then just tap whatever you want to add in manually. Alright, so that's one way of doing it. The next way to do it is, let's find another drum sample here. Cool. And there's step mode. So you go ahead and just hit step mode here. And you can see down here, it's going to show me I'm in sample number 3. And then you can trigger for each step that sample plays. So right now, every step there's going to be that sample's going to play, which you can hear, right? And you can change it up on the fly to just be some of them. So whatever one you touch will light up to tell you, yeah, it's going to play on that step. That's basically step mode. Pretty straightforward. One cool trick is if you sweep across it, you can change it to be the exact opposite, which is kind of a cool trick. Alright, another thing I like to do is I'm going to show you step record, but before I do that I'm just going to set up a quick little keyboard thing. I think cool, I prepared, I got it kind of set up in time here. Let me just tune it a little bit so there are different notes I'll play. Okay, 7 to 10 are So what I'm going to do now is go to activate step record. Hold down function, push step record. Now, one thing to note, when you do a step record, it's going to overwrite everything else you have on the loop. So all the kicks and all the snaps and the step mode things we added in are all going to be overwritten by this. So one thing to note, if you do this, I usually do it for this keyboard trick to kind of put some keyboards over top, and I can do it in steps. So you can see it's starting at step 1 here, and as I play the notes, you can see it can go through all the steps. I'm just going to randomly play some of those notes and we'll see what we get. And you can see we're almost done, a couple more to go through. Back to 1. So to stop this, just hit function, bang, step record is off, and if I hit play, all the other drums are going to be gone, but you'll hear the keyboards now. So, not exactly usable. So we go, that's crap. Go back in here and hit function step record. And maybe I just want to add in the drums now. Alright, so I've gone through the entire step 1 to all the way to the end. And turning off step record, the keyboard should be gone now, and we'll just have the drums again. Alright, and then if you're ever creating this and it's like, this is crap, I don't want it, hold down function, hit the all down here, clears it all out. If you do that by accident, you're like, oh my god, I just lost the loop I was working for half an hour on. Don't panic, hold down function, all again, undoes the clear all. And you can clear all. If you want to just clear one part, you can go function clear part, and then you can see the snapping is still going, and you can undo that clear part too, or just get rid of them all. Okay, so that's the 3 recording options you have at hand. Manual record, I'll just do them all again quick for you. So manual record, step mode, so pick apart, step mode, or function, hit the record button, go into step record, and then you can do everything one step at a time. They all have their tricks and handiness, so I'll let you figure that out on your own. Alright, so that's how you record, basic record. So beyond those basic options, let's just go ahead and clear this out before we do anything else. I want to show you some of the other functionality that you have in this little box here. What we're going to look at now is the mute and solo. So let's go ahead and make a quick annoying loop here. So that baby is awful. So what you probably want to do is clear the part, but what else you also do is, if you want to play that later while you go with other stuff, is if you hold down mute and you pick the right part. So I've muted part 4 and 5. You can get rid of it like that. And if you want to unmute it, just hold down mute, and you can see when you hold down mute, anything that's lit up is unmuted, anything that is unlit is muted. Let's say you enjoy awful sounds, you can hold down function solo, and you can just solo that awful baby part, or any of the other parts. It's another little trick there. So solo and mute are here. If you want to solo something, you have to hold down function. If you want to just mute something, you can go ahead and just hold down the mute button. You don't have to hold down function. And if you ever want to unsolo anything, just click on the part that's soloed, and the same for, let's get rid of that. There we go. So that's mute and solo. What I want to show you now is reverb. So you can see up here there's a reverb mix dial, but if I tweak it around, nothing happens. Nothing should happen, at least. And why that is because reverb is not applied by default. You have to apply it per part. So there's a reverb button here. Hold it down. See, I'll just stop it so you don't get any lights. I hold it down, nothing should be lit up except which step we stopped it on. So now you can see Oh, sorry. Hold down function reverb, and then you can turn it on the part just like that. So holding down the reverb is just going to shuffle through the parts. You have to hold down function reverb, and you can see now if I push play, hold down function reverb, I'm going to turn it on, and you'll hear nothing because you know why? I haven't turned reverb dial up. If I turn it up, you're going to notice a big difference. So if you want reverb on your whole loop, you're going to have to trigger it manually on each of these sample parts. So if I go like that, see how all those lights are on now? Every single part's going to have reverb affected to it. But if I just want it on a single part, make sure all those lights are off, and now it's on the snap. So that's how you enable reverb. Also, I'm going to just turn reverb off for now. And so you need to enable it on the part. You also have to enable it on the mix. So if you can see reverb's enabled, but I've turned down the reverb knob all the way to off. Of course, you're not going to hear reverb. So enable on the part. Make sure the mix dial is tweaked how you like it. Okay. Well, also what I want to show you up here is reverse. Now I'm going to not be a dummy. I'm going to hold down function, reverse. Knowing the lights show up, but watch this. So now the kick has been reversed. So you can put a reverse on per part basis. Now unmute the baby, you can get the Saint-Ada kind of baby now. God. It's awful. Alright, let's turn that off. Alright. One last thing I want to show you of how you can kind of play around with the samples themselves is the loop function. So let's grab that, and what you can do is hold down function and you can turn loop, and what that's going to do is it's going to play it continuously, slowly fading out. So that's a cool effect in itself, but one cool trick I like to do that is you can make some really weird kind of sounds with these if you make it really short. So you can play with that. I sometimes like to play that when I'm goofing around trying to make something sound. It's kind of fun. Sometimes you can make it, dial it in, play around with it enough, you can get it. See, that's a bit nicer. And then this decay, you can play with that too. Sounds like a car kind of speeding up. So that's one other trick you have in your arsenal, which is like, what was this loop to begin with? Just a kind of piano hit. Now it sounds like a little bit like a car. Yeah. Just a trick for you. Alright, so let's go back to our loop here. Okay, let's turn off, remember, mute. Thank you. No, I'm going to show you motion recording. So what motion recording does is, let's get set in here. Alright, so I go pick the part. I'm going to pick that part I just enabled that's thumping across every single part. Pardon me, the sample that's thumping across every single part. And what we're going to do now is do a little bit of motion recording. So if you hold down function, and down here there's motion sequencing on off. What will happen now is if I hit record and I move these dials around, it's going to record those modifications I'm making to the sample into the loop itself. So if I want to kind of get that on the loop, I go hit record, and then I just play at the speed. And you can see that's now goes up and down with the speed through when the loop plays, and you can keep doing that as much as you want, as long as you can pick a different part, or you can add additional, and you can see that how the light on the speed dial is lit up. That just says, hey, I changed the part, it turns off, right? But it's just telling you for this sample you have motion sequencing enabled. Even if you turn that off, I think it will still stay on. Nope, you got to keep it on. So you got to make sure that that option stays on for the sample. If you turn it off, it will disable the motion sequencing. And when it's on and you've done something, so if I'll do another quick Now you see how the EG int light is now on, because now the sequence now has that modified on the fly, and I might accidentally nudge the start point there too. So that's how you can, through your loop, change the sound of the sample as actually part of the loop, which can give you some cool effects. Alright, one last thing I want to show you is just simply up here this is an analog isolator for bass and treble. Basically what it does is let you change your sound, make it really bassy, turn off the bass all the way, or make it really deep and bassy that way, and the same for the treble. So you can do fade outs with that, right? And little tricks. They're handy, they're right there, big dials, so I think they're mostly performance, considered for performance. And the only other thing I wanted to do was the swing. So the swing kind of lets you change how it sounds like on the fly. You can dial this around, and let's see if I crank it really high. It's sensitive, you can see. Turn it right off. It's pretty right on the nose, but you can add a little swing into it, then mix it up a little bit. So that's most of the functionality. The only thing I don't think we may have covered was active step. So if you hold down function active step let go, you can see all of the lights are lit up. You can actually disable steps of your loop, and it will keep the same tempo and kind of keep it, but you can change it by activating the steps, and it will keep the same tempo, but it lets you take us. So sometimes when I put together a loop, I like to go in here and I'll play around with this a bit, because sometimes you'll actually make a better loop by turning off some of the steps, or you can take one loop, save it across multiple parts, and then make a bit of a song that's not the same sample over and over and over and over and over again. Okay, now we're gonna play around with song mode, and before we start building a song in song mode, we're gonna have to build a couple loops. So with this machine you can create loops, but they're only 1 bar long, so you know, if you're at home, it's easy to make a quick loop, throw it into your DAW on your PC and play around with it there. But if you're on the road, or if you don't want to get onto your main computer, you can use songs on the VOLCA sample to kind of put a number of loops together in different ways, so you can create a song on the device without having to go into a DAW to put one together. And that's what I'm going to show you here. But before we can put a song together, we're going to have to make a couple loops, so we're going to go ahead and do that now. So we'll start with a simple drum loop here. Alright, so that's just a basic drum loop. So I'm going to use that to build up my other loops for the song. So we'll go ahead and save that. Alright, then what we can do is also save this into slot 2. Then we will load slot 2 and we'll add a bit more to this. I'm not going to make anything terribly great here. I'm just putting something quick together. So we're going to go back into 1 to get that bass melody or bass beating in. We're going to save that into 3. So you can see so far, got the bass drum loop, got a little piano thing going on here. Maybe we'll do something funny with the... No, I don't know if I want to use that. Take this. Then I just want one with just a piano. A quick way to do that is we can mute all the drum parts. Should do it. Save that. Oh, as my whole rack falls apart here. Perfect timing. Alright. Center it back in. Oh god, everything's falling apart. Alright. There we go. I gotta fix this. Okay, that should hold in place. Okay, back where were we here? Let's see what we got. We should have 4 loops. Basic drum. Drum with piano. Weird vocal thing going on, and then just the piano. Perfect. It's what I wanted. Okay, so I got 4 different loops now, and what I'm going to do is show you song mode, because you can use these 4 different loops and you can put them all together into a song. So let's go ahead. So you see under here 1 to 10, so you can save up to 10 loops. Actually, I think you can save up to 16 loops. Pardon me on that. So I can load up, yeah, 1 to 16. So you can see there's 16 loops on this thing. No, I'm completely wrong. Alright, so let me try that again. There is 10 different beats you can store on here and 6 different songs. So what you do to go into song mode is, instead of loading up a loop, you know, you can load up any of these 10 different loops. You can see, but there's just one thing that repeats over and over again, just one bar of music. What we'll go is into song mode here. So it's S1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You have 6 different songs you can put together on this here. And the way song mode works is, you can see each of these is a part. So you can have up to 16 different bars of loops. And what you do is you can go on the 1, 2, 3, 4. So what you'll see here is 1. So the first part of the song is going to play loop 2. So I can go in here just quite simply make everything play the first loop I have. So you can set these one anywhere from 1 to 9. So 1 to 9. Pardon me, 1 to 10. So any of the 10 samples or any of the 10 loops you have, you can set into these song parts. So we're going to just set every part of the song to be loop 1 to begin with. So you can see I'm just going into, and you can use a part, but no, never mind, you can't, not in song mode. So that's the other thing about song mode. A lot of the controls are disabled. It's quite simple, where you can just basically select the parts and use some of the basic functionality of the device. You're not going to be able to do a lot of manipulation in this mode, not like you can do in each individual loop. Alright, everything should be set. So if I hit play now, what's it going to do? You can see it cycling through all the different loops, and they're all set to 1 right now. So maybe what I want to do is, you know, chord the way through the song. Maybe I want to start hitting it up with the keyboard and the loop. And then maybe we'll throw in something a little different here. Alright, so you can see, where are we now? See, there you go. Knock the camera all over the place. But one of the shows you can control the bass to try to get some differences. And you can control the tempo. So yeah, that's basically how song mode works. Like in a loop, you can also use the active step functionality too. So if you hold down function, hit active step, you can disable some of the steps and it will just pick up the other ones. And you can see now I've disabled all those steps, so it's just going to go through those. So that's a way you can change the song on the fly if you don't want it to play the same 16 parts over and over and over and over again. Alright, so now that you know the basic functionality of the sample, let's say you're getting bored of the default sounds and want to load some of your own in, is what we're going to take a peek at how to do that right now. And what I use personally is this Caustic editor for Android. You can find it on the Play Store. It's perfect for my needs. I found it's worked really well for me. And the first thing you're going to want to do before anything else is, before you start building your list or anything, you're going to want to go in here, and you're going to go here, and you want to clear all samples off the VOLCA. So make sure you set to airplane mode, so if somebody calls you or something plays on your phone, it doesn't screw up the upload. And then you plug in just any old, I'm going to unplug this from the mixing board, and just any of the, any of the sync cables that come with the VOLCA. Plug one into the sync in, one into the output of your phone, and go ahead and hit start. And it takes about a couple seconds, not too long, and you can see it's going ahead, it's clearing all the data off of it. And what that's going to do, so I'll go ahead and unplug this now, turn this off, turn it back on, is it's a dead device. I'm going to go ahead and click in here, and you can see there's no samples loaded onto it, so it's rather useless at the moment. So what we're going to do now is, with this sample editor, is go ahead and load in some samples. And what I thought we could do for fun is, I got some Duke Nukem sounds I want to play around with, and we're going to go ahead and do that. And so within here, you can go to your downloads and go ahead and load in that Big Bang. And you can see it's 3 seconds, so this is one of the limitations. It's already 5% full, and even this is generous. I usually find as soon as you go over around 70% in this app, you're risking that it won't get loaded in. And if it does air out, it's not the end of the world. That just means the last sound that was too big won't make the jump. So a couple cool tricks, and you can't do it in this. If somebody knows how to do it in this editor, is speed up the sound. Like, if you can speed up the sound so this sound is, fast and takes place over a couple seconds, it's going to use up a lot less data than this full normal sound sample. And then when you load it in, you can just use the speed of the VOLCA sample to bring it back to however you like. And that's, if you could do it in this app, I can do everything else I need to do with the sounds in this app. That's one thing I haven't figured out how to do yet. So you can see it's easy to, if you just want the half of it, you can go ahead and, select what you want to use it and hit crop, and then bang. Go ahead and use that. And you want to kind of chop off and minimize as much as you can, because you can only fit a minute of audio and 4 megabytes of data. So you'll see here is, I'll go back and get this machine gun sound. Cool. It's nice. It's perfect for it. It's under a second. It's hardly going to use any data at all. Clip in. Sure. Why not? And then maybe for this one, it's pretty fast. But maybe you just want to. You have a bunch of dead sound there, right? What would that sound like? Sure. You lose that whole clip effect, but whatever. One thing I like to do also is, you know, you can do it on the Volca, is you can adjust the levels as is. What I like to do through this app is there's an edit and there is an amplify, and usually I just like to try to get everything, you know, not going over that 0.5 and not going under that minus 0.5 decibel. I think that's what it is. I don't really even know. But at least if I get everything in that same range, I know everything playing out here is going to start at least, you know, normalized or at the same volume. I won't bother doing that for all of them, so let's just quickly load in some. So I'm not going to try to make this perfect. I'll quickly load it up to, you know, I'll try to get it around above 80% to try to trigger that error so you can see what will happen. It's probably enough weapon sounds. And you can never have enough weapon sounds when you're loading in Duke sounds, and then you're gonna go like, how in the hell are you gonna make anything decent with this? Like, you think it's gonna sound like good luck. But that's what I love about this sample is you can throw garbage at it, and it's got enough ways to adjust the sounds. You'll be surprised that you should be able to make something good. I'm not sure if we'll be successful today, but we're gonna try. And we'll load in some boss sounds. Why not? Sure, why not? Let's get some crazy alien sounds. Perfect. So we're already 15% full because I'm not being very selective with the lengths. Usually I like quick hits that you can play around with, but we're going to experiment. What's under other sounds? Dog will yelp. Yeah, no thanks. Sure. Throw the dolphin in there. Toilet flush. Why the hell not? Let's load up most of our memory with a toilet flush. Oh, it brings back memories right there. I don't know how we're going to do anything with this stuff, but we're going to try. There. It's enough of the miscellaneous sounds. Let's go back out here. What else we got from Duke? Ambience. Have we been in there yet? Lovely. Oh, there we go. You can see that memory's filling up fast with what I'm throwing at it here. Alright, that's enough ambience. Getting there. Do other sounds. Yeah, I'm gonna throw in some Mario Kart. How about we don't? Throw in some Zelda sounds for the hell of it. We're getting there, we're getting there. freaky. Alright. Mostly just trying to get this loaded up as fast as I can. I've been here before. Alright, we're at 75. So, alright, we'll try our luck. 80%. We're gonna go with that. So it's like perfect. Yeah, I'm gonna load these. So you can see I've been not very selective or adjusting the sound to minimize. Like I said, you know, you could take something like this, speed it up really fast, get it in within like 2-3 seconds, and then not use up half the memory and time of the VOLCA what's offered to you. But we're not going to worry about that tonight. We're just doing a sample, and we're going to see if we can make anything usable out of this. So I'm going to unplug this. Airplane mode is already on. Good thing to do when you're doing this is just make sure airplane mode is on, because this is not going to be as fast as when we cleared everything. It's going to take a couple minutes, so we're going to go ahead and let this go, and we'll hit start. Oh, we're going to cancel that because I forgot to turn on the sample. So we'll turn on the sample and try that again. And there it goes. You can see it says data. I'm just going to put this down here. You can see as it loads it in, you can see the progress in the VOLCA shows too down there, but it also will show in this app. And you can watch it load. And I'm going to go take a quick break while this loads up, and I will be back and see how successful it was. Alright everyone, we're almost fully loaded our samples in here. We're going to see if these final two go through. It says 80% full, so if you judge by what the app's telling us, we should be fine, but I would not be shocked if it does crap out on us here. We will see. Final sample here. Don't hold your breath. It looks like it may make it. So what I expected to see is error out on this one, but I think it's going to make it. So if it errored out, it wouldn't be a big deal. It would just be that one didn't get through. So you can see it's done. Everything's successfully loaded, so we got lucky. Let's go ahead and play around with these new samples and see what we can do. Okay, so for the final challenge, we're going to try to take these Duke sounds that I threw in here and see if I can do anything usable with them. Let's see. We're going to give ourselves 10 minutes, and starting now, and I'm going to see what I can do, and we're going to try to make a loop in 10 minutes, and you can see all the sounds are in there now. Alright, let's see what we can do here. On motion control on that because I like how that's sounding. Not going so good so far. Got 5 minutes left here. Let's see if I can pull this together. about 10 minutes. I think that's about as good as I'm gonna get. So not my best effort, but you can see how such a cool little device. I'm sure if I spent another 20 minutes on this, I could actually get something that I'd be happy to export and use elsewhere. But for now, we're gonna go with this. So hope you learned something by watching. Feel free to add any questions below, and I'll try to jump on them as I can. Also, if I've screwed anything up as part of my examples, feel free to call me out. I'm learning as well, so I apologize if I've misled anyone, but I hope you find this helpful. And until next time, I will see you later.